You answer with, "I'm fine," so smoothly that even you almost believe it. Meanwhile, your mind is holding 12 tabs open, and your body still hasn't unclenched. From the outside, you look steady. On the inside, you feel like you've been carrying noise for days. This kind of exhaustion is hard to explain because it doesn't always look dramatic. It looks like functioning, smiling, replying, and slowly running out of yourself. By evening, nothing terrible happened, yet you feel strangely used up. Not because life was loud on the surface, but because your mind never stopped receiving it. Some people get tired from doing too much. You get tired from noticing too much while pretending it didn't affect you. You can sit in a quiet room and still feel overstimulated. You can be alone and still feel like everyone else is somehow still in there. A look lingers, a tone of voice lingers, and one small awkward moment keeps replaying like it signed the lease in your head. You leave a simple conversation and think it should be over. Hours later, your body is still processing it like it never fully ended. That is part of what makes this so confusing. Your exhaustion arrives late, after the moment has already passed. You seem fine in the restaurant, fine in the meeting, fine during the visit. Then you get home, close the door, and suddenly feel your whole system drop. It is not always social anxiety. Sometimes it is the cost of monitoring, absorbing, adjusting, and staying composed in real time. You noticed who felt distant. You noticed the shift in energy, the pause before someone answered, and the way your own body stayed slightly alert. Most people call that being perceptive. What they do not see is how expensive constant perception can become. When you are highly aware, your mind does not just register events. It keeps working on them long after everyone else has moved on. You replay what you said. You replay what they meant, and then you replay your replay just to make sure you did not miss something. That kind of living creates a very specific tiredness. It is not the clean tiredness of effort, but the foggy tiredness of never fully powering down. You wake up and already feel slightly behind yourself, not because you did not sleep enough, but because your mind never really left work. Sometimes the work was emotional. Sometimes it was social, and sometimes it was just the invisible labor of staying regulated around other people. You can laugh in the moment and still feel drained by it later. You can enjoy people and still need hours of silence to recover. That contradiction confuses a lot of sensitive people. They think if they had a good time, they should not feel so depleted after. But enjoyment and depletion can exist together. A warm evening can still leave your system overstretched. Because your body is not only reacting to whether something was good or bad, it is also reacting to how much it had to hold. How much did you track? How much did you soften yourself, stay tuned in, or quietly manage your inner reactions so no one had to see them? You kept your voice even, you kept the conversation moving, and you kept your deeper reactions tucked behind basic politeness. So the world sees someone mature and easygoing. What it does not see is how much self-control was being burned to create that version of you. This is why you can look calm while feeling mentally loud. Your outside behavior is simple, but your inside experience is layered. Part of you is listening, part of you is anticipating, and another part is already recovering from something that has not even fully happened yet. That inner busyness becomes so normal that you stop questioning it. You just call yourself tired, introverted, or weirdly low energy. But often it is deeper than that. You are carrying awareness load. Awareness load is the weight of taking in more than you can quickly metabolize. It is sensory, emotional, relational, and mental at the same time. You hear the words, but you also hear the strain behind them. You notice the room, the pacing, the expectation, and your own subtle need to stay adjusted. That is why a short conversation can leave you feeling like you worked a full shift. It was not short inside you. Inside, it had layers. It had implications, emotional textures, and little moments your system quietly filed as unfinished. Then night comes. The lights are lower, the house is quiet, and somehow your mind gets louder. Now the conversations return. Now the old details step forward, and your brain starts sorting through moments you thought were already over. You remember your wording. You remember their face after you said it, and suddenly your body reacts as if the scene is happening again. This is one of the loneliest parts of hidden exhaustion. The world thinks the day ended, but your system is still in it. That is why falling asleep can feel harder than it should. Your body is in bed, but your awareness is still on duty. You are not just thinking. You are scanning, revisiting, and unconsciously trying to settle things that left a mark. Even silence can feel busy when your mind is full of emotional residue. It is not external noise keeping you awake, but internal leftover movement. Some people do not just feel their own emotions strongly, they also pick up the emotional weather around them and carry traces of it home. You can spend 10 minutes with someone tense and feel off for hours. You can sit near irritability, sadness, or pressure and absorb it before realizing what happened. Not because you are fragile, because your system is open enough to register what others keep armored over. That openness can be beautiful. It can also be draining when you do not know how much of your tiredness is actually accumulated atmosphere. So you tell yourself to get over it. You say it was just a normal day, just a quick errand, just dinner, just one call. But your body does not care that it looks small. Your body responds to intensity, not appearance. A crowded store can exhaust you without a single dramatic event. A family visit can leave you foggy even if nobody fought. Your system is not only reacting to events, it is reacting to pace, pressure, tone, unpredictability, and the effort of staying socially available. This is why some people feel most tired after being around people they actually love. Love does not cancel stimulation. Sometimes love increases it because you care more. You notice more, you feel more, and you work harder to stay connected. You become the one who senses the shift before anyone says it. You feel the heaviness in the room and part of you immediately starts adapting. Maybe you lighten your voice. Maybe you become more agreeable. Or maybe you quietly hold your own needs because someone else feels bigger in the moment. Every adjustment costs energy. Every suppressed reaction, every swallowed comment, every extra second of emotional monitoring asks something from your body. Then people say you are so calm. They say you are easy to talk to, grounded and strong. And maybe you are, but strength is not the same thing as being unaffected. A lot of sensitive adults learn early how to be readable in one direction only. Safe, steady, helpful on the outside while the inside stayed crowded and private. So now you can look composed while internally overworking. You can be everyone's easiest interaction and your own hardest place to rest. This is also why you sometimes feel exhausted before the day even begins. Your system remembers life as effort before anything new has happened. You wake up with that slight heaviness in your chest. Nothing is wrong yet, but your body is already bracing for input. Messages, faces, decisions, errands, tone, pacing, noise. It all feels small separately, but cumulative in a way other people do not always understand. And when you do try to rest, real rest can feel strangely unreachable. Not because you do not want peace, but because slowing down finally reveals how much you are carrying. When the distraction drops, the backlog speaks. That is why a quiet kitchen can suddenly feel emotional. You stand there with the fridge humming and the lights dim. Then all at once, the day finally lands in your body. Around others, your energy goes toward functioning. Alone, it finally goes toward registering. That is why the crash happens in private. In the car after the visit, in the shower, on the couch, staring at nothing. You are not being dramatic. Your system is finishing a process it could not complete in public. And this is where a lot of shame enters, because you start judging yourself for needing so much recovery from things that looked so ordinary. You wonder why one coffee date took so much out of you, why one meeting sits in your body all night, or why one strange tone changes your whole evening. The answer is not that you are weak, it is that your inner life has high processing depth. Some minds move quickly past experience, yours keeps turning it until it finds the emotional shape. That can make you insightful. It can also make you tired in ways productivity culture has no language for. Because not all exhaustion comes from doing. Some of it comes from continuously receiving, interpreting, filtering, and containing. This is why generic advice can feel so off. Just relax means very little when your system does not switch off on command. You cannot force deep sensitivity to act like simple fatigue. You cannot shame a busy nervous system into becoming quiet. What helps first is accuracy. You need the right name for what is happening before you can stop blaming yourself for it. You are not lazy because you need more recovery. You are not antisocial because you need more silence after connection. You are not overreacting because your body takes longer to settle. Some systems recover fast, and some absorb more before they can reset. The danger is not sensitivity itself. The danger is living with deep sensitivity while constantly acting as if it should cost you nothing. That is how quiet depletion becomes chronic. You keep performing fine while your body keeps carrying unpaid invoices. Soon, even simple things start feeling heavier. Not because life got impossible, but because your baseline never fully restored. This is the hidden cost of always being the one who handles it. You become functional at the exact moment you most need relief. Until one day your exhaustion stops feeling occasional. It starts feeling like your background music. That is usually the moment people search for an explanation. Not because they suddenly became tired, but because they finally ran out of distance from their own fatigue. There's honesty in seeing this clearly. Not romantic honesty, and not the kind that turns exhaustion into identity. Just plain honesty. The kind that says being deeply aware is real, and so is the wear on a system that rarely gets to go offline. You do not need to glorify your depth to respect its limits. You do not need to call it a gift every time it hurts. Sometimes it is simply a demanding way to move through the world, beautiful in places, costly in others, and deserving of truth. Because there is a difference between being strong and being endlessly absorbent. One keeps you standing, and the other slowly empties you. Maturity begins when you notice that difference. It deepens when you stop measuring your needs against people with very different thresholds. Maybe you do need more quiet than other people. Maybe your body does take longer to return to itself. That is not failure. That is information. And information becomes relief when it replaces self-judgment. The moment you stop calling yourself too much, your exhaustion stops being a personal flaw and starts becoming legible. Then something softens. You begin noticing that your tiredness has a pattern, and patterns can be respected even when they cannot be erased overnight. You stop forcing yourself to be endlessly available. You stop calling every limit a weakness. You start seeing your energy as something shaped by depth, not just discipline. That changes the way you speak to yourself in quiet moments, especially at night. Especially when you are lying there with your eyes open, replaying voices in the dark. Maybe the goal is not to become someone who feels nothing. Maybe the goal is to stop abandoning yourself for having a system that feels deeply and recovers slowly. Because that slow recovery has never meant you were broken. It has often meant you were carrying more than anyone could see. And maybe that is the real psychology of looking fine while feeling exhausted underneath. Not that you were hiding weakness, but that you have been surviving invisible intensity with remarkable grace. So if you are tired in a way that sleep does not fully touch, listen closely. Your exhaustion may not be proof that you are failing. It may be proof that your inner world has been working far harder than your outer life lets on. And that deserves understanding, not disbelief.